Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel today. It's Kim here, and I apologize for the previous video. I had to break it up into two parts because I was doing part one and it was a little bit longer than I anticipated. After I had filmed the segment, I thought of something else that you might want to consider if you are planning to work here in Japan. It was just a little thing, but I thought, oh my gosh, I think it is kind of important to consider. So I added that in, and it made the video a lot longer than I originally had planned. I decided to break it into two parts. If you missed the first part, go ahead and you can watch the video. I'll leave the link here. And if you have watched the first part, we're talking about things that you might want to consider before living or working in Japan. And this particular installment deals with your job and your job conditions and things that maybe nobody's told or prepared you about. These are things related to your job or your job conditions, or maybe you've already done your research and you really want to come to Japan and work, which I totally applaud and support you. This particular part deals a lot with work relationships and just things that you might encounter. I would say that most experiences are usually good ones, but you never know. So if there is a condition at your workplace, or if these type of situations happen to you, hopefully this can maybe prepare you a little bit so you can figure out how to deal with them or how to navigate such situations should they happen to you. But hopefully all your experiences will be good ones. We'll manifest that. All right, let's go back to the video and talk about things that maybe nobody told you about the working conditions in Japan. Let's go. Okay, let's talk about work dynamics. Just the group dynamics that happens usually at schools or companies. And this is very general because, of course, as you know, it all depends on your school or company. These are things, there's the obvious ones. You already know things like the vice principal is pretty much the one in charge of the school, even though in ranking-wise, the principal has more status, more power. They're usually not the ones that are going to be dealing with the teachers. They also have head teachers or grade level heads or subject heads, curriculum heads. They have all these distinctions that when you first come, you probably won't know who's in charge of what. But the most important ones, of course, are your principal, your vice principal, your office manager, and probably the head teacher. Those are things that you can just do your research and find out. I'm going to tell you the unspoken group dynamics that you may want to pay attention to. If you're someone like me, you do a lot of observing and watching and studying. Maybe it's like researching or investigating certain things. I'm such an investigator, as you've probably learned from other videos. But I do like to pay attention to a few things. For example, who is the teacher that is always speaking out at meetings? Who is the one that is always the one asking questions or being vocal about if they like something or don't like something? And how is that person received? Who is the person that other teachers are maybe a little bit fearful of? Not because they're scary or whatever. Maybe it's the one that's kind of policing situations or making sure that you're on time or that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, that you're stamping the attendance book or you're getting documents or information on time. Who's the funny teacher? Who's the teacher that is the friendliest? Who is the teacher that comes to speak with you, maybe tries to use English with you, or asks you about your home country, or tries to make that effort to speak with you? Who's the teacher that makes you feel uncomfortable? Who's the teacher that seems to be in charge of all the social things? Maybe they're the ones that tell you about this party, or after work or after the sports day, we're going to go here if you'd like to come, da-da-da-da. Who's the teacher that you would consider maybe the power teacher, the one that has the most power? Maybe you notice that people seek that teacher's approval. I used to do a thing too. I used to look at people when they were at their desk. Which teachers have the neat desk that's all super organized? Which ones have things all over? That was usually my desk. No, my desk was pretty neat. Which teachers are eating at their desk, or they have their little snack trays? Which teachers maybe go to the lounge area and socialize more? Which teachers are the first to leave? Which teachers are the ones seemingly running late? All those kind of things. Not that it's your business, but I like observing, because then I can kind of tell which teachers am I going to trust or feel comfortable with. And if I feel that there's someone that I'm not getting a good vibe from, how am I going to approach that teacher so that that nervous vibe becomes more relaxed? I think group dynamics and workplace relationships are really important. Unfortunately, you can't let that kind of determine your school life or your working life. You still have to get your job done. You still have to get whatever work responsibilities you need to get done. But it does make so much difference if you're in an environment where you feel respected, accepted, and welcomed. I've been in all different kinds of environments. I've been in environments where everybody just makes you feel like a member of the staff, even though you're the foreign teacher, even though your contract or your set of rules, I guess, your set of responsibilities are different than perhaps Japanese teachers or Japanese company members. They still treat you as somebody that's a valid member of the staff. And I've been lucky because most of my staffs have been that way. I don't know whether it has to do with age, because I do have work experience under my belt. I do have what I would consider pretty good work ethics. But that doesn't mean that you're always going to be welcomed or accepted by every single teacher. I've been in situations where I thought I was welcomed and a valued member of a staff, and apparently I wasn't. Or my personality or my teaching style or the way I express things, or maybe just my existence didn't make some people happy, so they would rather see me gone and not at that school than attempt to work together. That one really hurt, by the way. And I know it's so hard, because when you come into any new situation, of course you want to be welcomed and you want to feel comfortable at your workplace. Any workplace you go to, you're going to have people of all different ages and experiences, and some will be very welcoming, some will be nice to you, but it might be superficial or it might not be sincere, and they might just be tolerating you because you're the foreign teacher or you're the teacher that's working there. And I kind of feel like your workplace environment is important. I've worked at so many different school environments with so many different types of people. You'll find too that it's easy to connect with some people and more challenging with others. You'll find some Japanese teachers of English really easy to work with and comfortable, but you might find somebody that you have a harder time communicating with, or that maybe for whatever reason you just didn't click, or something was said, an incident happened, and you just don't feel comfortable. And it sucks to have to go to a workplace where you still have that tension. This could be so many different reasons why you might feel uncomfortable. I think whenever I entered a school, in my mind, that was going to be the school I wanted to stay at for a long period of time. But because of contracts or because of changes that happen, I found that I had to leave, or my career path was not staying at one school for the long haul. I thought it was, but you never know what's going to happen during those years that you work at a school. Or even those of you that are just starting out, maybe you see your school as, oh, I'm going to stay here for a long time. And maybe it might not be possible for whatever reason. It could be visa reasons, it could be group dynamics, it could be changes, it could be budget, so many things. Or it could even be that they want to hire somebody different. The hardest part is those unspoken things that you don't know of. I guess it's unpredictable. So even though these are things that could happen, that could be those worst case scenarios, you can't always predict that it'll happen. A couple of examples are in public schools. Right around March, actually maybe in February or March, teachers are told that they will be transferred, or they may be moved to a different school. And they didn't request that move. It's just the way the Board of Education's worked. They would shuffle around, so maybe this teacher has taught for a long time at this school, but they get that call or they get told they're going to be moved. And it's a school that's in the same prefecture, but it's a totally different type of school or different environment. It could be going from a really big elementary school to a smaller one, or a very academically oriented high school, and then you get transferred to a technical school. Your favorite Japanese teacher of English that you work with, that you have perfect chemistry with, and you get along with, gets transferred, and all of a sudden there's a loss, or you feel like, no, these transfers or these changes are confidential. Sometimes people know through the grapevine, but it's supposed to be confidential, and they don't announce it until a certain day. So you may not find out that your teacher, your favorite teacher, is getting transferred until the last day of school in March. And then You have no idea who the new teacher that's coming is going to be. And it's tough. I went through so many changes in Tottori where my favorite teacher, actually in Osaka too, where my favorite teachers got transferred. Or I had to essentially start all over, like establishing bonds and getting that chemistry. And it's really hard. It can work in both ways. You might get somebody really good and you think, oh wow, this is great. I have a new bestie. Or you can be like, oh my God, I lost my bestie. That usually happens right around this time of year. Today's March 1st. And March 1st for a lot of schools, that's graduation day. And yeah, it's bittersweet for some teachers because they know it's their last year, but they can't say anything. The students don't find out till pretty much the last day of school. So for them, it's devastating, especially if they had a favorite teacher and they get transferred. Private schools and other schools, you won't have that as much because usually those teachers, maybe grade levels or assignments aren't announced until a certain date, but you usually know who's going to be leaving or staying. Another situation that could happen is just being told your contract isn't going to be renewed. That was what happened with me. I will spare you and the people that were involved in this situation all the details. It was really devastating, and I thought, or I assumed, I would be at this particular school for a longer period of time, especially because I even bought my place in that particular area. And to be told that your contract is not going to be renewed because there are people against you being renewed, and you don't know who the people are, it hurts. And it hurts later on to find out that teachers or staff members that you thought were supportive of you actually weren't. And having to find a new job within a month, which is what I had to do, having to find a new job within a month was challenging. I had to move within a month. I think I was told I got a new position in July, and my new position was going to start in August, and that meant rushing around, moving, getting so many things taken care of as best I could, all the while wondering in my head what really happened. And those group dynamics, at the time, it really hurt. But when I look back on it, I'm sure things like this happen in many companies or other schools where you didn't expect that you weren't going to be renewed, or changes are made. Maybe there's financial changes or shifting in staff, and you got to go out and start over somewhere. When I look back upon it, like, man, during that time, I dealt with so many emotions. There was partly bitterness, partly confusion, and a little bit of, a little bit of hostility, feeling like I had been betrayed, or feeling like why couldn't things be discussed with all the people that were involved instead of just with one person telling me this? Why couldn't, if you want somebody to improve, or if I did something that, that needed improvement or something, I think if I were on the other side, if I were the person in charge, I would want the person that I am saying goodbye to know, you know, this and this happened, so that it could help me improve as a teacher or a person. But for whatever reason, if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have met some of the most amazing people after I left that school. I wouldn't have had the relationships, both professional and personal, that I had after leaving. You know, thinking about it, Sinbad had the best veterinarians in Gunma. I'm going to just say it right there, in Gunma. And if I had not went there, you know, who knows what would have happened when he got diagnosed with his illness. The teachers, the administrators, the experiences I had after, you know, from leaving one school and then opening the doors to other schools, including the one that I currently am at, where I retired from. I just think, man, I would have been minus all those people in my life if I had stayed at that one school. So I see change, or I see group dynamics and work dynamics as something that may be unpredictable and may leave you feeling all different sorts of emotions. But if you view it as there's a bigger purpose, or there's a reason behind why certain things happen, then I think you don't look back anymore with the same frustration or the same anger maybe that you once had. And since I've moved on, I feel like my world just opened up. And so that wasn't meant to be my forever school, or my place where I was going to go all the way through. That was a stepping stone to bigger and better things, and meeting people that enriched my life, not made my life feel like I was a failure or I was unwanted. So yeah. So cheers for the way fate works sometimes. So let's get to the reasons why. I put a couple of things that I think maybe jet teachers or foreign teachers experience a lot here that can be difficult. Many foreign teachers come very excited to be in the classroom for the first time. Maybe they don't have the classroom management skills, but they have the enthusiasm. They have the excitement of interacting with students for the first time. I think most of the time students are very excited to meet you and interact with you, but some factors could play a role in how things go at the beginning. One thing could be if they had really, really strong relationships with their previous teacher and you're the new teacher that comes in, maybe some are still like, I miss so-and-so. Or, oh, we miss this teacher. Or, oh, this teacher was so much more funnier. Or, you know, they compare you. Unfortunately, I think not just students, but people compare you all the time to your predecessor. It's kind of inevitable, but I think students and the Japanese teachers, even sometimes the foreign teachers, the other foreign teachers that you might be working with, compare you to your predecessor. Compare you unfairly to your predecessor. They might think it could be in something as superficial as how you look, how you manage your class, how you dress, all those kind of things. There could also be sometimes some little jealousy, like if all of a sudden all the students and kids like your class is better than their Japanese teacher, and this Japanese teacher is trying to keep control, but you've got all the kids eating out of your hands. There could be a little jealousy there. Be understanding and try and work through that. Same with the predecessor thing. In time, you're going to be that predecessor that everybody's saying, oh my gosh, they like that one so much better. So it kind of, you know, comes around a circle. When it's your time to leave, there are going to be students that are, no, don't go, no, don't go. And the new teacher comes in and they'll be saying your name as the one that they wish that they could have again. So yeah, those are kind of inevitable emotions. The jealousy one is a hard one. I've unfortunately seen that happen to a lot of jets that I've worked with or that I've talked with, where they almost feel intimidated by the Japanese teacher. It's almost like they are put into situations where they're made to look like, oh, they made a mistake in this, or don't you know, or embarrassed in front of the students. And so, yeah, I think the best thing to do is just explain in a professional way that you felt uncomfortable or that wasn't appropriate. There are sometimes jokes that maybe the Japanese teacher or the teacher you're working with may say that are not what you consider appropriate, especially dealing with maybe appearance or race or situation, or they may bring up a subject that you don't feel comfortable discussing, like politics or religion. They might put you on the spot, and you need to make sure that you control or you let them know things that you don't feel comfortable with. You'll find that a lot, I think, being the foreign teacher. The first thing that they judge you on is your outer appearance. Part of our role, I think, when we're on JET or when we're an English teacher, or in my school we call ourselves global communication teachers, we're not only teaching language and language skills or whatever subject. If you're a math teacher, math. If you are someone that is coming from a different country and you are teaching in Japan, you are also teaching culture, and you're teaching different things to erase maybe stereotypes, or giving students perspectives that maybe they never knew otherwise. Being a teacher is challenging, no matter where you are. Being a teacher has so many more unspoken rules and things that you have to be careful of that other jobs may not have. There's always, like, you always have to be careful or conscious of what you're doing, because you never know who might spot you. So many more people know who we are than the other way around. We might not recognize our students if we're at the grocery store, or if we're at the gym, or if we're at the family restaurant. But our students and their parents may recognize us. They may choose not to say anything to us, or they may come up and surprise us, and you're like, oh, okay. I think most teachers, you always have that sort of, not fear, but sort of a protection over your image when you're out. Sorry if my angle changed a little bit. My battery died, so I just put in the charge. So I know that this particular chapter, it really depends on your situation, and it kind of depends on who you are as a person, because some of you will come and you'll have an amazing experience at your school. You'll feel warmly welcomed. Everything will go well. And whether you choose to stay in Japan longer or whether you're only here for a limited amount of time, your job experience, I think, is what you make of it. And I think it depends on how you as a person adapt to a new working situation, how much your company or school involves you, all that kind of stuff play a big factor. If you're someone that is currently struggling with a situation that's making it really uncomfortable, or you come here and it's the work situation. You love everything about Japan. You love the living conditions, but it's the work that's getting you down. I would say to ask yourself whether it's the work environment, whether it's teaching, whether it's just the different rules of your company or school. What is it exactly that's making you feel unhappy? I'm a big believer that when you know it's time to change, that's the time to change. And if a situation kind of facilitates or initiates that change, that's the little push for you to look for another job, look for another career, look for another work environment. Trust yourself in taking that leap of faith. Trust yourself in knowing that you're going to just be miserable if you're sticking around and trying to be at a place that either doesn't want you or that you don't feel comfortable working in. It's tough, and it's not just Japan. I think it's anywhere in the world when you're in a work environment that is either toxic or just doesn't mesh with you well. It's not worth your mental health or your physical health to stay there or to waste that time that you could be somewhere else doing something amazing that you enjoy with people that enjoy you. I know there's a lot of difficulty sometimes to take that leap or to say, no, I can't do this anymore. I think if you recognize that it's the work environment, it's an easier change. I think sometimes it's teaching. I don't think everybody can be happy as a teacher. Look at all the teachers that burn out, or look at all the people that no longer want to deal with the stress and the expectations and the pressures of being a teacher. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty. If you're willing to accept all those things, then of course, I love teaching. It's what I enjoy doing. Even now that I'm retired, I hope to continue in teaching for as long as I can. But if it's not the work that you want to do, don't do it. Easier said than done, I know. A lot of people really have difficulty with Japan work culture. You hear that a lot of times. They don't like the hours. They don't like the hidden expectations that you stay late without overtime pay. They don't like having to stay at work when their work is finished. Time management, all that kind of stuff. And I get it. Totally get it. If you've done all your work, why should you just stay and and have to do something just because it's not 5 o'clock yet. I'm really lucky at my current school because we didn't have the same type of time demands that other schools have. It's nice when you're told that as long as you're there for your responsibilities of the day and you complete them, then that's what's expected of you. It's not working a clock, it's you working your job. That being said, there's still teachers that will stay super late. I don't know why they stay so late. Well, maybe I do, but yeah, it's a difficult culture, I think, to adjust to if you're someone that's worked before. If you're someone that's new to the workforce, maybe this is all you know, so you have nothing to compare it to. But I will say that job stress and job demands and all those things happen in any country, with any job, with any set of coworkers. It's all kind of the same challenges. So it comes down to what you are willing to do and what you are willing to put in. If it's not something that you are wanting to invest in, don't. Find something that makes you happy. I'm one of those people that believes you should do a job that makes you happy and fulfills whatever check boxes that you need in your working career or job life to give you the lifestyle or, I guess, rewards that you need. Plus, depending on where you are in your life, there are different check boxes. For some of you, it might be money. For some of you, it might be location. For some of you, it might be promotions or status or your future, whatever, your future endeavors. It's a lot of self-reflection, which can be hard, but you know, one of the great things is in this day and age, you have YouTube. You have social media where you can connect with people that maybe are feeling the same things or struggling or looking for somebody to just vent to or share a problem with. I'm always willing to listen or to try and help where I can because I feel like I've went through so many highs and lows. I've met amazing people and people that hurt me. I've seen amazing teachers that have so much talent and so much inspiration that make me want to be a better teacher or make me want to do more and better myself, all for my students, all for education. And I've seen other teachers that I think, oh my gosh, I feel for them because they're struggling or they're not happy or they're burnt out or they're not getting the same joy that I think a teacher, or I would like to see teachers get. So yeah, you're not alone. And if this series has at least let you know that you're not alone and that there are people who want to help you or there are resources. A lot of what I do on YouTube or social media is connect with other teachers, and my goodness, there are so many great teachers out there, especially on YouTube, especially on reels and stories, and you can feel so much better about your job situation when you start connecting and you realize that there are people who can help you, or there are people that can say, you know what, I went through this and it was hard at the time, but now I feel so much better and I feel like I feel a lot more prepared for whatever the next step is. So hopefully this video has kind of touched into some of these possible job situations that you might have or experience or be confronted with. And if I've helped you or can help in any way, please feel free to leave any comment. If you've went through similar experiences, or if you know of situations or how to help people that are in struggling situations, please connect with us. I am so grateful for those of you that are subscribing and commenting and letting me know that what we're sharing with each other is helping or is opening up maybe some windows or doors that you didn't see before, if that makes sense. The more that I connect with you, I feel like it's kind of validating everything that I went through and maybe why I had to experience that. And sometimes I do think we experience unfortunate or negative events, especially in our career, because it helps us appreciate what we have down the road. And without this happening, this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. So many things. And you realize things aren't as bad as they once seemed. All right. I'm going to sign off for here. Stay tuned for the next segment. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care.